Strong and affectionate words plummeted through Basil's mind.
Keeper of Erunasis, blood of omnipotent High Lord Zarvan, the ages between our last encounter has been much, much too long. My heart weeps at the sight of you and flesh and body.
Thank you.
Basil whispered to Tavar, those blue eyes of his glassy.
Say something else.
Basil scolded himself. But like so many other moments, words had simply escaped him. When Tavar turned his attention to Sargon, Sargon immediately dropped to his knee as the old man approached him. The man with braided black hair stepped closer to Basil.
It is my esteemed honor to greet you with my most humble salutations.
The mighty man spoke, his gaze sharp and sincere.
I am honored as well.
Basil sputtered, standing affixed within the man's puissant presence.
Astanya Murka Mayora.
The man's enchanting deep voice whispered, penetrating Basil's eyes deeply.
Ahilan Panyal Erunasis.
Basil became lost within the mysterious man's mesmerizing eyes, for the words he spoke deeply punctured his heart. Not because he somehow recognized that this man was too from Mayora, but to his own surprise, Basil knew what the entrancing man was saying.
We of Mayora are honored by your return, son of Erunasis.
The words seeped through Basil's lips, he himself utterly surprised as he spoke them.
You remember?
The man nodded, seemingly pleased. A moment later, Sargon stood beside them both, appearing serene.
Allow me to present to you Phaedon of Mayora.
He smiled proudly.
Supreme Commander of the Mayoran Legion and Guardian of the Eastern Quadrant.
He placed an affectionate hand on Phaedon's shoulder.
Welcome, beloved brother.
He whispered with reverence.
We are deeply honored by your mere presence. Your hospitality far exceeds any other from the sector of space.
Phaedon bowed his head.
I thank you.
Phaedon's staunch authority was clearly noticed, and observing him quietly, Basil found himself incredibly intrigued, for without little words spoken, he knew Phaedon was someone tremendously powerful. Without straying his redolent eyes from Basil, Phaedon duly stepped aside, allowing for a man with shoulder-length blonde hair to present himself. He was accompanied by the two engrossingly gorgeous women who were a part of the V formation.
Keeper of Erunasis, I am Saborius.
The blonde man spoke warmly, fitted within formal uniform.
Commander of the Urugez fleet.
He quickly pointed a finger toward the stars, compelling Basil to glance up. Suddenly the craft lit up, exposing the sheer size of it, and it covered at least a third of the night sky.
What is that?
Asked Basil incredulously.
A spaceship?
Saborius appeared highly amused.
It is a comfortable scout craft. Not our biggest, I hasten to add, but more than enough to explore local galaxies for extended periods.
Not your biggest? Basil glared at Saborius. I can't imagine how large your biggest spacecraft must be.
The biggest is our mothership, the Urugez. She is too big to scout Earth, my brother. She is more than 3,000 of your miles in length, and is anchored 5,952 of your miles above the atmosphere of Earth, remaining undetectable.
Oh, I see. So, how does this spacecraft just hang there so quietly?
Wondered Basil inquisitively, stretching his neck up into the blanket of stars.
It looks as though it could just drop out of the sky at any given moment.
Saborius admired Basil's naivety.
This spacecraft is symbiotic in nature, as are all of our spacecraft. They are alive, breathing.
He grinned.
Alive and breathing?
Basil couldn't believe it.
A type of anti-gravitational technology is the source of our spacecraft's propulsion system, allowing it to sit idle, unaffected by the atmospheric disturbances of Earth.
Suddenly the scout craft vanished, quicker than a blink of an eye. Basil gasped, glancing back down at Saborius.
Ah! You must think we men of Earth are from the Stone Ages.
Ha ha ha! Not at all.
Saborius chuckled, folding his hands neatly in front of him.
We are all existing within different dimensions. The vanishing of our scout craft is simply a cloaking device, keeping us in the shadows when we need to be there.
Saborius next turned his attention to the attractive woman on his right, doting upon her affectionately.
May I introduce to you Eluan, our Maioran sister and great sorceress, hailing from the Altai Mountains.
The enchanting woman gazed at Basil as if he were made of glass, and although it was awkward, he could feel himself slowly submitting to her gentle manner. A small, calming smile formed across her supple lips, with her knee-length auburn hair pulled to one side, gathering in a mountain of curls.
Hello, Eluan.
Basil nodded politely. Eluan's steady gaze continued to penetrate Basil's innocent eyes, probing his tumultuous thoughts thoroughly. A second later, he began to hear a delicate voice slip through the crevices of his mind.
I am truly honored to have now, at long last, glimpsed upon your soul, heir of Erunasis, divine blood of Arisian and Maioran combined, until our immortally fated souls make once cross again.
Basil shared the moment with her, gazing into her violet eyes, darker than Ira's, and they were shielded by the longest lashes he had ever seen. Like it now seemed to be the norm for women of Maioran to be all unequivocally breathtaking.
And lastly,
Saborius glanced to his right, his eyes getting that frosted look.
may I present to you my beloved Perla, guardian of the Maioran Gate.
He removed a strand of her silky black hair away from her porcelain face.
And the absolute love of my life.
Perla delicately bowed, the jewels intricately woven in her hair, jingling as she did so. The last man of the formation stepped beside Phaedon and raised his right hand.
It is with great pleasure that I stand before you, guardian of Erunasis.
He began, his shoulder-length pewter hair slicked back, with not a strand out of place.
I am Nazreto, lead scientist of our exploratory missions. We explore the nature of cold stars and inhabited planets, just like your planet Earth.
Basil nodded, struck by his bright emerald green eyes.
A pleasure to meet you also, Nazreto.
Please, my extended guests.
Sargon voiced aloud over the salty breeze, extending his arms wide.
Let us sit and relax with each other's wonderful company upon the terrace gardens up there.
As everyone slowly began making their way up the stairway, Maud finally crawled up alongside Basil.
Did you see that spaceship in the sky?
Basil murmured, his voice riddled with excitement. Maud gave Basil a blank look.
What spaceship? Oh, gosh, Maud.
Basil rolled his eyes.
The massive one hanging in the sky before. You didn't see it? How could you not? Oh, I was too busy dying. Thanks to all these crazy, gorgeous lasses.
Maud said smugly. He took particular fancy to Cyrilla and glanced in her direction.
Oh, I beg you,
Pleaded Basil.
do not
make a fool out of us both. Oh, when Cyrilla looped her arm through mine, I thought my heart was packing up.
Maud snickered, running his hand through his hair.
I mean, I would have made a total bollocks of myself.
He chuckled.
I've never seen such beautiful women in my entire life, or even for the next 10 lives. Why don't we have women on Earth like this?
Basil glared at Maud disgustedly.
Are you even listening to me?
At that precise moment, Eluan floated past them, sharing a sweet smile that almost made Maud's bones brittle.
Yes, I am.
Maud stammered with crazy eyes, eclipsed by her hypnotic presence.
I'm listening to you.
Eluan glided up the stone stairs, with her long hair shining from miles behind her.
Savour the moment and work your charm, you brute.
Basil let out an impatient, forceful breath.
And just so you know, they're probably already reading your dirty, corrupted mind, so you've lost out already, mate.
Oh, sod it.
Maud snapped with defeat.
I can't help it if I'm a man with warm bits and pieces. How could I not pay attention? Forgive me for being a man.
Basil patted Maud sympathetically on the shoulder as they climbed the stairs behind the crowd.
You're forgiven.
So are you for everything you've put me through.
Maud bolstered, greeted by two butlers donning floor-length tunics. Basil stood for a moment, glaring at Maud walking away, absorbing his words.
It is true.
He thought to himself, I've put the sod through the ringer.